The weight of betrayal isn't something that crashes into you all at once. It seeps in like a slow creeping poison, invading your body, your mind, your very soul before you even realize it's taken hold. That's what it felt like for me. I remember the exact moment my world started to crumble. It wasn't some grand revelation, no dramatic confession or fiery argument. It was a whisper in the wind, a subtle shift in the air, a nagging feeling in the back of my mind that told me something was wrong. Malign, my wife, my partner, the woman I had spent the last 10 years of my life with, had changed. At first, it was small things. The way she started leaving her phone face down on the table. The way she'd smile at her screen, but never share what was so funny. The way her perfume changed, something unfamiliar, something new. And then there were the late nights. She had always been career-driven, and I admired that about her. But suddenly her usual overtime hours at the marketing firm in Chicago became excessive deadlines. Work events, business dinners. Her excuses piled up like in a wall, shutting me out. I wanted to believe it was nothing, that we had just fallen into a routine, that I was overthinking things. But the truth was far darker. It started on a quiet Tuesday evening. She had come home late again, the scent of unfamiliar cologne clinging to her clothes. "Another long meeting?" I asked, keeping my voice light. She barely looked at me as she kicked off her heels. "Yeah, exhausting day. I just need a shower." I watched her walk down the hallway, my gut twisting that night as she slept beside me. Her phone vibrated on the nightstand. A single message flashed across the screen. "Good night, Mads. I miss you already." A name. I didn't recognize Ryan at that moment. Something inside me shifted. Malign and I weren't just another married couple in a slump. This wasn't just distance or exhaustion from work. I was losing her toe. Another man. I could have confronted her that night. I could have shaken her awake, demanded answers, begged her to tell me it wasn't what I thought, but I didn't, because I needed proof. So I started watching, not just noticing, but really watching. And the more I watched, the more the cracks in her lies became impossible to ignore. The way she guarded her phone like it held the country's deepest secrets. The way she suddenly started dressing differently. Bolder, more daring, as if she had someone to impress. The way she would step outside to take certain calls. Her voice just low enough that I couldn't hear the words. But I could hear the laughter. I was 34 years old, not naive, not stupid. I knew exactly what I was looking at. So I did what any rational man would do. I set a trap that Friday. I told Malene I had to work late. Just like she always did, I kissed her goodbye, grabbed my coat and left. But instead of going to the office, I parked a block away from our apartment and waited. An hour later, she left. She wasn't going to a business dinner. She wasn't going to a work meeting. She was going to him, and I followed her. I followed Malene through the streets of Chicago, keeping a safe distance. The wind was sharp that night, cutting through the layers of my coat, but I barely felt it. My pulse was pounding too hard, my mind racing too fast. She walked with purpose, like she'd done this before. No hesitation, no second guessing. This wasn't an impulsive mistake. This was routine. 10 minutes later, she stopped in front of a sleek glass-fronted hotel in downtown Chicago. I watched from across the street as she pulled out her phone, typed something, then walked through the entrance like she belonged there. My stomach twisted. I could have turned back. I could have walked away, pretended I never saw anything, let myself live in the comfort of ignorance. But I had already come this far, so I followed her inside. The lobby was warm, filled with the soft murmur of guests checking in, business people on their phones, couples walking hand in hand. I stayed near the entrance watching. A few minutes later, the elevator doors slid open and he stepped out. Ryan, tall, confident, the kind of guy who looked like he'd never had a bad day in his life. He walked up to the front desk, grinning as he handed over a room key for Malene. "She'll be up in a minute." I clenched my fists. Not Maddie, not Mads, not some casual nickname that implied affection, familiarity. Malene, my wife. I could have walked up to him right then, could have grabbed him by the collar, shoved him against the counter, demanded to know who the hell he thought he was. But I didn't. Because this wasn't just about him. This was about her. And I wasn't about to give her the easy way out. I turned and walked out of the hotel. If she wanted to betray me, I'd let her, because by the time I was done, she'd regret it more than she ever thought possible. The next morning, Malene was back home, moving through our apartment. Like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't spent the night in another man's bed. She kissed me on the cheek, sipped her coffee and scrolled through her phone. I watched, her silent, studying her like a scientist, observing. A dangerous experiment. She didn't notice the way my jaw tightened, the way my hands curled into fists beneath the table because she thought she had one. She thought she was getting away with it. That's when I knew exactly how I destroy her. I started with the small things, subtle shifts in my behavior, coming home late smelling like perfume that wasn't hers, leaving my phone face down on the counter just like she used to. It took a week for her to notice. "Where were you last night?" she asked one evening, her voice laced with suspicion. I smirked. "Had a drink with an old friend." That was all I said. No details. No explanation. She didn't like that. Good, let her feel it. Let her wonder. Let her stomach churn with the same sickening dread that had been eating away at me for weeks. But that was just the beginning. One night while she was in the shower, I left my phone unlocked on the nightstand, just barely within her reach. A single message was left open, on the screen strategically placed. "Last night was unforgettable. I can't stop thinking about you. When can we do it again?" I never actually sent it to anyone. It was a decoy. But Mateline didn't know that I saw the way her fingers trembled when she put my phone back, the way she stared at me, her lips slightly parted, as if debating whether to ask, but she didn't, because she was afraid that she had lost me before she could decide if she truly wanted to. Good, because I wasn't hers anymore. Not really. The cracks in her perfect little world were starting to show. Her texts to Ryan became less frequent. The late night whispers stopped. The way she used to check her phone every 5 minutes gone. She was pulling away from him exactly as I'd planned. One night she tried to seduce me. She wore the deep red lingerie. Had once loved the one that used to drive me crazy. She leaned in, pressed her lips to my neck, whispered my name the way she used to when we were younger. When she was still mine for a moment, I let her touch me. Let her think she still had power over me. And then just as she leaned in to kiss me, I pulled away. Not a night. The confusion in her eyes. The flicker of panic that was priceless. It wasn't rejection, it was punishment. For every lie she had told, for every night I'd stayed awake wondering if she was in someone else's arms, for every moment she'd made me doubt my own worth. She didn't deserve my touch anymore. And for the first time she knew it, but I wasn't done. Malene wasn't the only one who needed to suffer. Ryan had to pay, too, so I did my research. I found out everything: where he worked, where he lived, who he spent his time with, and more importantly, who he was lying to. Because Ryan wasn't just some guy, he had a fiancée. Her name was Emily. A sweet-looking woman who had no idea that theme and she planned to marry, was sleeping with another man's wife, and I wasn't just going to expose him. I was going to destroy him the night I put my final plan into motion. I made sure Malene was home. I wanted her to see it unravel. I took my phone, typed a message, and hit send to Emily. "You deserve to know the truth about Ryan. Check your email." Inside that email was everything: screenshots of their texts, hotel receipts, even a picture of Ryan and Malene in an intimate moment. I had hired someone weeks ago to follow them. I had proof. 15 minutes later, mine's phone buzzed. Ryan was calling. I sat across from her at the dinner table, watching as she hesitated before answering. "Did you tell someone?" Ryan's voice was frantic, nearly shouting. "Emily just found out. Sheck, leaving me. What the hell is going on?" Mine's face drained of color. I don't know, but I saw the flicker of realization in her eyes. She knew it was me, and for the first time since this all began, she was afraid of me. The next morning, I watched her pick at her breakfast, barely touching it. She had barely spoken since last night. Finally, in a whisper, she asked, "Did you do this?" I sighed my coffee, watching her over the rim of my mug. What her lip trembled. She knew that I had exposed Ryan, that I had torched the fantasy world she had built, that I wasn't the man she could manipulate anymore. I leaned in, voice low. "Steady, I gave you exactly what you deserved." Her breath hitched. She didn't deny. Because deep down she knew this wasn't over, not yet. Malene thought she could cheat, lie, and walk away unscathed, but now she sat across from me at the breakfast table, eyes hollow, fingers trembling around her coffee cup. She was breaking. Ryan had been exposed, his engagement to Emily over, his reputation destroyed, his once perfect life shattered beyond repair, and Malene, she was next. But I wasn't done watching her suffer. I wanted her to feel what I had felt: the slow, excruciating agony of losing everything piece by piece. So I twisted the knife. "How's Ryan?" I asked, casually flipping through a newspaper. Her breath hitched. She looked away, trying to hide the panic in her eyes. You ruined his life," she whispered. I leaned back in my chair, fighting innocence, did I? Her lips parted, but she said nothing because she knew the truth. I had played the game better than she ever could with Ryan. Out of the picture, Malign had no one left. The passion she had chased gone, the love. She thought she had found a lie. She was completely and utterly alone. I made sure of it. Then I turned the people around, her against her, carefully placed, whispers to friends, co-workers, even her boss, subtle hints that led them to question her integrity. It didn't take long before the rumor spread at a dinner party. I listened as her so-called friends murmured behind her back, "Did you hear about Malene? Yeah, apparently she was cheating on Daniel for months. I heard Ryan's fiancé left him because of it. Wow, and to think she always acted so perfect." She heard them too. I could see it in the way her hands shook when she sipped her wine. She was becoming an outcast, and the best part, she had no idea that I was behind it. Her career was next. She prided herself on being a top executive at her firm, respected, powerful, untouchable. I changed that. I leaked her affair to her boss. Not directly, of course, I was too smart for that. Anonymous. Emails, screenshots, hotel receipts. Within 2 weeks. She was under investigation. Within a month. She was suspended. Her so-called professional reputation crushed. She never even saw it coming that night. She came home looking like a ghost of the woman she once was. She dropped her bag at the door, collapsed onto the couch, and buried her face in her hands. Silent, defeated, empty. And the best part, she still didn't know just how deep my plan went. 2 weeks later, her suspense engine became termination. She was officially jobless that same night. I came home early and found her sitting at the kitchen table, a bottle of wine half empty in front of her. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. I had already won. "Did you ever love me?" she whispered. I set my keys down, watching her. "Did you?" Her lips trembled. Her eyes were bloodshot, dark circles forming under them from sleepless nights of regret. For the first time, she had no answer. Because she knew the moment she chose Ryan, she lost me forever. And now, she was losing everything else. The cracks in her life turned into ruins. She tried reaching out to friends. No one answered. She tried applying for new jobs. No offers. Her savings dwindling. The home we shared no longer hers, because while she was sneaking around with Ryan, I had been preparing my exit. I filed for divorce, but not just any divorce. One that left her with nothing. No house, no financial support, not even her dignity. I'd made sure that when I walked away, she would be left in ruins, and the best part, I had done it all without laying a single finger on her, just calculated, merciless destruction. She thought she could betray me and walk away. And scathed, she thought wrong. I never looked back. Some people destroy themselves, and some of us rise from the ashes. I didn't need to ruin Isabella. She had already done that all on her own, and that was the greatest victory of all.